Confucius said, "Lost rituals can be sought from the folk." The translation of this sentence is that the rituals and culture that have been lost or interrupted for various historical reasons can be collected and organized in the countryside and used to revive the court rituals and culture. The history of incense culture is an important part of the history of Chinese culture, which reached its peak during the Sui and Tang dynasties, but is now in need of revival and inheritance. The origin of Japanese incense culture is Chinese incense culture, and the original incense used in the Tang and Song dynasties is still very well preserved. Therefore, to study Chinese incense, we need to study a brief history of the development of Japanese incense culture. Also, learning the Japanese incense culture will help us to revive Chinese incense culture. In Japan, during the Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties, the independent development of Japanese incense ceremony began. The Japanese incense ceremony emphasizes inner cultivation, spatial aesthetics, and ritual norms, which are also worth learning from us to a certain extent. The development of Japanese incense is divided into several different stages of development: the budding period, the learning period, the independent development period, the popularization period, and the modern period. We will study them one by one according to the different division periods. The budding period, the Heian period of Nara, is equivalent to the Tang period in China. It is historically certain that the art of incense was first introduced to Japan when the monk Jianchen of the Tang dynasty from 688 to 763 AD brought a large amount of incense and medicinal herbs with him on each of his trips to Japan. According to the Eastern Expedition written by the literary scholar of the Nara period, Genkai Makoto, when he went to the east in December of the second year during the Tianbao period, he brought musk, 20 umbilicals, sinker incense, gangsong incense, lobster incense, jiangtang incense, benzoin incense, sandalwood incense, zero-ling incense, greenwood incense, and smoked land incense, all amounting to more than 800 pounds. In the 7th year of Tianbao, he planned to travel east again, buying incense and medicine, and prepares all kinds of things, as he had done in the 2nd year of Tianbao. Master Kanzen's first stop in Japan to promote Buddhism in Todaiji Temple. Todaiji Temple is a typical Tang style of architecture in the temple. A piece of what the Japanese call the world's most famous incense is hidden, which is also the best incense in Japan, ranchita. It is the largest incense wood in Japan, with a length of 156 centimeters, a weight of 11.6 kilograms, and a conical shape, which now exists in the Masakura courtyard of Todaiji Temple in Nara, Japan, is regarded as Japan's national treasure. Coincidentally, the word ranchita, written in traditional Chinese, has the word Todaiji that is hidden inside it. It is said that it was probably introduced to Japan from China in the 9th century, but it is also possible that it was introduced in 592 AD. Langshe is a piece of yellow mature incense with a history of over 1,300 years. It is recorded where the emperor and shogun have cut small pieces for use to reward their field for meritorious services. Nara Todaiji Shokura-in Temple, Japan. Around 60 kinds of medicines were recorded in the imperial catalog. According to Japanese scholars, some of these medicines were brought by Jianchen, and some were shipped from China by Jianchen's contemporaries. However, according to historical records, the exchange between China and Japan in Buddhism and medicine is much earlier, so it cannot be ruled out that the Chinese incense culture was introduced to Japan before Jianchen. During this period, the Japanese national culture of imitating the Tang dynasty emerged. Incense has become an integral part of the lives of noble men and women. In this period, Incense is mainly mixed with various spice powders, then added to the toner, mixed with honey and solidified to become a refining incense or incense box. This concept method was directly from China. The representative literary work of this period, The Tale of Genji, is the Japanese equivalent of The Dream of the Red Chamber, which depicts in details the scenes of incense ceremonies held by the nobility, following the example of China. Study period, or the Kamakura period, is equivalent to the Song Dynasty period in China. During this period, the cultural development of Japan was still greatly influenced by China, and the four leisurely things of the upper class in the Song Dynasty, i.e. burning incense, ordering tea, arranging flowers, hanging paintings, were also introduced to Japan. The new style of Chinese incense utensils of the Song Dynasty was also introduced, and the incense utensils of the Song Dynasty or its variants are still the mainstream of Japanese incense utensils today. During this period, the hobby of incense logs replaced the culture of smoking in the Heian period, and by the end of the Kamakura period, it had become the fashion of the upper class to appreciate incense. Independent study period, Muromachi and Azuchi Momoyama period, equivalent to our Yuan dynasty and Ming dynasty. With the development of seafaring, Japan began to trade with Southeast Asia and European countries during this period, and the Japanese no longer imported spices through China or Korea, but obtained incense directly from the production areas. Two schools of incense were established in Japan, the Goya-ryu and the Shino-ryu, and they are the two oldest schools of incense in Japan. Shino Soshin, the founder of Shino-ryu, established the Rokuguni Gomen, which marked the formalization and localization of Japanese incense. Japan uses the 6 kingdoms and 5 flavors to classify incense. The 6 kingdoms refer to the 6 incense production areas of Gara, Manaban, Rokuguni, Managa, Zozoro, and Simendoro. The first is the best quality, while the following others are of lower quality. Galo, mostly from Hainan, China, and central Vietnam. Chanaban comes from Cambodia and Laos. Luoguo is produced in Myanmar, Thailand. Managaha is produced in the area of Malacca. Zozentro from eastern India. Simendolo from Sumatra Islands, Indonesia. The 5 flavors are described by the general sense of taste to describe the olfactory experience, which is described in the secret commentary of the 6 kingdoms. Sweetness, the sweetness that you smell when making honey. Salty, the salty smell of sweat and the salty smell of seawater. Bitter, the bitter taste of philodendron or huanglian, similar to the smell of bitter medicine, chopped and decocted. Pungent, the pungent taste of cloves, like the sensation of cloves on the tongue or chili peppers thrown into the fire. Sourness, the sour taste of plum, the aroma of plum flesh. Tastelessness is not the absence of taste, but the ability to blend the 5 tastes. The next period was the period of popularization, the Edo Period, which is equivalent to the Ming and Qing dynasties in China. As the economy grew and the general public became more educated, incense was becoming popular among the emerging business class. The Shino Soshin school also reached out to the community and actively promoted the art of incense to ordinary businessmen and peasants, transforming it from an object of pleasure for the upper classes, from the artists to the common people. This is a big turn of incense. Incense began to appear in society as a civil education. Industrialists and landowners rely on their own economic power to learn incense to strengthen their own cultivation. In the Edo period, the modern form of Japanese incense was officially established. In this period, incense activities also began to be popular group incense play, similar to Chinese incense seat. The modern Meiji period is equivalent to the Republic of China era of the late Qing dynasty. After World War II, with the revitalization of the flower ceremony and tea ceremony, the incense ceremony was revived and became one of the symbols of Japanese culture. It is said that most of the world's best quality incense wood is now purchased by the Japanese. The number of Japanese incense schools has grown to more than 100. The most important ones are still the Goya and Shino-ryu, and the number of ways to form incense has grown to about 700. Western culture also influenced Japanese incense culture, and chemical incense became widely produced and used. However, in Japan, all incenses that have chemical ingredients are colored. Only incenses with natural ingredients are natural wood colors. Even the incense culture in Japan has gone through the same process from the royalty to the common people. Japan has well preserved the original incense ceremony of the Tang and Song dynasties in China, and has made some achievements after the period of independent development, which is of certain significance. The revival of Chinese incense is in need of innovation and breakthrough to better serve people's lives. Finally, please think about which other countries in the world, besides China and Japan, have also preserved the culture of incense.